Okay, continuing the group assignments explained. So I'm still in Blackboard and I'm on Assignments tab. And the second item on there is this group assignments explained. So that's a document giving you lots of instructions on how to go about doing your group assignments. It did not download. Okay, there we go. So let me pull this over once it's downloaded. Okay, so lots of instructions here, including for warm-ups. Some of that's just explaining what I just talked about. But I wanted to head down. Lots of hints in terms of the protocol. But towards the end here, I have some just general hints I want to focus on. So when you're leading your initial and your final group, like I just said and showed you on the document, that you have been given a frame of reference and a population. So what I would suggest is that when you look up your scenario, you start by researching the population. So for example, the one was people with personality disorders. So, and your focus was social participation. So what I would look at was, what is a typical struggle or problem that people with personality disorders have with social participation? What does that look like for them? And that's where your intervention is going to be. So first of all, figure out your population and your area of focus. What does that mean for that population? What do they struggle with? And then once you have that down, then go back to your group dynamics. That's Cole's textbook. And look up whatever chapter corresponds to it. So we looked at psychodynamic, which was chapter 5. Look that up and have in the back of your mind, as you're kind of reviewing that chapter, what would psychodynamic theory do with people who are struggling in this way as my population with social participation. That's this intervention planning process that we're talking about this week in psychosocial practice. So you're looking up, what is the problem in terms of social participation? What does that look like for that population? You're doing it on a group level. The general process is the same, but you're just doing it on a group level. My suggestion is you go about it that way versus, okay, I'm going to do this intervention under psychodynamic and then try and make it fit for this population. That's going to be a lot harder to do rather than using the process that I just talked about. So use this. There's lots of hints in here. I'm not going to read them all to you. You will have time and you have access to this to kind of look at some of the ways to go about doing this. In terms of picking your interventions, you have to be careful. One thing I noticed with community practice, the occupation-based program assignments, when you guys were using resources, a lot of you just went to the internet and did a search. Not that that's a bad thing to just get you started and to give you some ideas of what's out there, but really, when you do an internet search, there's no guarantee that those resources are reliable. Think back to our evidence-based practice that we had towards the beginning of this term. You really should, if you're looking for resources or information, you really should be using the library website and doing searches on there using those databases. I think there's no occupational therapy database, but there is one that's, I believe it's nursing something, so look under N. That will give you nursing and allied health, I believe, something like that. That will give you your best results, just looking those resources up and giving you a place that's reliable in terms of starting. You've got a lot of resources in terms of all your textbooks, if you can find something in there of what to do to with your client population and your focus of intervention. So make sure you're using reliable resources to base your treatment on. And once you have kind of this general idea of what you might do, then you're going to go to the protocol, and we'll do that next.